I invite you to just simply take a nice deep breath in this moment. Take it all in. Take in the natural goodness that's already been established this morning. Allow it to simply pour through your veins. Really feel touched deep down. Feel that energy that has already transpired. Maybe you were touched by the music. I certainly was. By that beautiful rendition of Wonderful World. Oh, maybe you were here for meditation, diving into that inner beingness. Just remember that this is what is calling you forth to experience something new here this morning, whether you've been here 100 times or the first time. That you're being called to experience and to be uplifted into that new realm of intention. To practice the presence, to let go of the temporary high of the world and the holidays, and to really begin to operate in the permanence of spirit. By being here this morning, whether you realize it or not, you're taking on a new way of being. Doesn't matter what you've done during the week. Maybe some of you are experiencing lack and limitation right now, but the truth is that the divine source is always right where we all are. You, me, the world. The divine source is right here and it's right now. And so as we begin this process, and it truly is a process, for most of us it's subconscious, this process of letting go of December, letting go of 2021, we begin to embody and look to 2022. And we begin to start embracing a new life. It's all very psychological to me, but there's something about endings that bring on this hope. You know, hope is always in the future. Faith is now. Trust is now. And so we begin to use hope like 2022 is going to be different, or that there's something that is calling us, and there's always something calling us. Whether you find it here or somewhere else, you know, because the truth is we are an intentional community. And so our intention is to know the truth of each and every person, whether you know it or not. Because we are on this endless and infinite journey together. So we did not come here to be saved. We came here to be engaged in the truth of who you and me and everyone else is. So you didn't come, you know, here's the good news, is you didn't come to the planet to be ordinary. Okay? You didn't come to the planet to be ordinary, you came to the planet to be extraordinary. Extraordinary. And so when you step into an intentional community that knows the truth of who you are, then you get supported to be extraordinary. Because we're all in it together. You know, this is the time to not accept the status quo, to not just live by the status quo, but to let go and begin to expect miracles. And be guided by this higher wisdom self that continues to call you forward. You know, this month, our theme is the journey of becoming. And this week, we're talking about the joy of becoming. And last week, just to fill in everybody here, last week Reverend Rainbow talked about surrender and the idea that surrender is action. It's an action. And as Reverend Rainbow also shared, often when we think of surrender, it brings to mind images of waving the white flag. There's a lot of flag waving going on right now, I have to say. So it's waving the white flag, which is denotes giving up or exhausted or defeated, Yet the actual definition is to cease resistance. To cease resistance. And Ernest Holmes, wrote over and over and over again and said over and over again, what you persist, what happens. What you resist persists, right? So surrender simply means acceptance. It means letting go of trying to change or predict or force or control things by being in resistance to what is. I think if we looked back a few years ago, we would never have been able to predict what happened in the last couple of years. We would have never been able to predict what happened in Western Kentucky and 3 other states. So she also talked about how to use surrender in our lives through this acceptance. It's through this acceptance that we're able to open ourselves up or to free our energy so that what's trying to emerge can do so as opposed to what's trying to be forced or controlled by the experience. Which brings me to this week's topic, the joy of becoming. In thinking about this topic all week, one question kept coming to me over and over and over again. If we're always becoming, do we ever arrive? Seriously. If we're always becoming, do we ever arrive? So, in breaking this question down, I realized that it's the pause that is the arrival. It's the pause, not the pause on my kitty, but the pause in our lives that is our arrival. So what do I mean by this? The life and expression of the divine is here and now, as this moment, and as each experiencing the moment. Spirit pours itself through all creation, using itself as both the putty and the sculpture. Like reaching the top of a roller coaster, we're setting up for the next adventure. But the pause first is a necessary part of that. This moment or this pause is spirit. It actually is spirit. We're pause, we're spirit, we're always spirit, and it's spirit as it is now and in the next and in the next and in the next pause and in the next moment. Your being in this moment is a necessary part of the unfolding of the divine. So take a moment to really drink that in and marinate all the pervasiveness of spirit right here and right now. It's everywhere. And the deal is there's no need to rush. There's no need to control or manipulate because you're already connected in and through and as spirit, so we can all rest in that knowingness. It doesn't mean that we don't take action or that we, plan our work and work our plan. What it means is we can rest our mind in that knowingness. Be still and know. Because in this stillness, we are allowing the joyful song and the life of the divine to shine through ourselves. We arrive at the heaven within, you see. The delight of spirit, the heaven within, is the delight of spirit unfurling itself as your experience through this year, and it will be the same as it begins to blossom itself into the following moment, day, year, and experience. Each of us has the power and potential to awaken to the true nature of the divine as us. And so, as we pause at the end of one cycle before diving into the next, let's all invite this awareness into our lives. Let's all welcome this awareness of the truth of who we are into our lives. And make no mistake about it, It's not all unicorns and heart emojis, okay? This time of the year is what I always refer to as the high season of vulnerability. And when we're in the high season of vulnerability, people and situations and things feel so much bigger and more severe than they might normally feel, right? And I can't even imagine, what's going on in Western Kentucky right now. I can't even fathom it. And of course, not only that, but COVID has intensified all of this. So when I'm speaking of the joy of becoming, I'm not dismissing those who are hurting right now. Khalil Gibran wrote, "Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow. And others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. Joy and sorrow are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you, remember that the other is asleep on your bed." So let me break this down even more. I want to begin by clarifying the meaning of joy. Because here's what happens in our world. We tend to equate happiness with joy. But they're two totally different ideas because they each spring from a different source. One comes from the world around me, the outside. The other originates directly from the divine. It's an inside job. Happiness, you see, is conditioned by and often dependent upon what is happening to me, what's happening in the world. If people treat me well, for example, if they really like my talk today, then I'm going to be pretty darn happy. You know what I'm saying? But if they don't treat me well in my life, if my circumstances aren't favorable, is this true for everybody? Then I might feel unhappy, right? Joy, on the other hand, vibrates through many of our sacred writings as a profound, compelling quality of life that transcends the events and tragedies which we may be experiencing in our lives. Real joy is a divine dimension of living that is not shackled by circumstances and conditions. By the way, the most common word in Hebrew for joy is simcha, which is loosely translated as gladness to be glad. I love that. Gladness to be glad. And another is hedva, which is translated as it is God's joy. It is God's joy. So it is Spirit's joy that makes us glad, to strengthen us. We find joy, our strength, in the divine. True joy is not an emotional state, it's a spiritual state. So when we're talking about the joy of becoming, it is the joy of embodying the divine in a deeper sense than we ever have before. It has nothing to do with the human feelings of happiness. It is accepting and surrendering to the wholeness and the holy that we are. Pausing to be still and know. And keep in mind, there is only one thing ever happening. There's only one thing ever happening, the expression of the divine in this moment. The expression of the divine in this moment. What is your expression right now? Like the burning bush seen by Moses, introducing itself as I am, or in other translations, I am here. The fullness of Spirit is all around us, simply awaiting our contemplation of it, simply awaiting our knowledge of it, our embodiment of it. And see, here's the thing, as we have journeyed through this year and we all begin to consider this next year ahead, let's take a moment, a pause, to simply sit and be in the stillness of God, of love, of Spirit, of joy, becoming the moment, becoming this time, becoming this holy expression. You know, as Dr. Holmes wrote, we are not becoming this life, but are now in and of this life. There is no other life. God is not becoming. God is. God is not growing. God is complete. God is not trying to find out something. God already knows. And nothing can exist outside of the infinite one divine source. You are a part of this infinite one, and that part gets to be the human being. Isn't that incredible? We get to be the human being. It is our job as beings, human beings, to deepen this awareness every day in every way. The goal is not only to understand this on an intellectual level, but rather a complete understanding and grasp of your identity as Spirit, as the beloved. To witness the same fire as Moses, not consumed by it, but instead allowing its flame to burn in, through, and as us, as each and every one of us. You know, Neville Goddard, in his book, The Power of Awareness, writes, as human beings, we are so used to looking at something from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it, by defining it, whereas you can know a thing spiritually only by becoming it. Whereas you can only know a thing spiritually only by becoming it. You must be like the moth in search of its idol, the flame. And remember, just as the moth, in its desire to know the flame, is willing to destroy itself, so must you, in becoming a new person, being willing to die to your present self. And in order to incarnate a new and greater value of yourself, you must affirm that you are already what you desire to be and live by faith in this desire and new awareness. Faith is right here, right now. Take a moment of pause. Be still and know I am with you always. Take a deep breath and just think about what I just said. Be still and know I am the I am. And also think about this. There is more to you than you have ever imagined. I don't care how old or young you are. Give me a break. It doesn't matter. God does not know age. You are more than you think you are. Whatever your problems or issues or challenges, there is a connection with you, a connection with an infinite power that cannot be broken. And what would your life be like if you knew, I mean really knew, that you were never alone or separate, but connected at the deepest level with everyone and everything? Would that awareness change your life? What if our joy of becoming It's really about the joy inside. We do not move towards spirit by understanding as long as we cling to what we can already understand, what we can already imagine or even want, especially as long as we depend on our own efforts. We have to go beyond knowing into unknowing. We have to empty our souls and our mind and whatever images or ideas we have already cultivated in order to expand into the nothingness and be filled with the divine. And when we do this, our lives change. Because the more of the divine that I embody, the greater is my strength and desire to give more, to be more. As my spiritual joy is released and it increases, so does the capacity to expand forever infinitely. The greater the rejoicing, the richer joy grows in its giving, in its quality of giving. Giving of my life, giving of my friendship, giving of my love, giving of my money, whatever it is. The greater the rejoicing, the richer joy grows. And think about this. When we are in tune with spiritual joy, we never think about debating the worthiness or unworthiness of ourselves. Do we? We're not asking ourselves, am I doing too much here? Am I giving too much? Am I enough? Am I enough? If you say, yes, Soni, you're enough, then you are too. Because I can't be without you being. Our joy, you see, is too busy being joyous to bother measuring itself for either quantity or quality of expression. You are the most magnificent creature on this planet. Oh my gosh. I am the most magnificent creature on this planet. Say it with me. I am the most magnificent creature on this planet. I love that. Now we know. Now we know because I told you so. Right? So I've got an idea this week for you all, for me as well. I invite you all to take a joyride. But make sure you observe the signs along the way, especially the stop signs. Shall we go into prayer? So I dropped down into that place of pause. That place where I can be still and know. That place of spiritual joy that uplifts and supports me every day in every way. The simple joy of being alive. The simple joy of being still and knowing I am the I am. I am here. And so it is from that place I declare and know that there is only one power and one presence. And I know that power and presence as the source of all, as that infinite source of all. Eternal life. Eternal. I know the source of all is joy. I know it as love. I know it as prosperity and abundance and all that is and all that ever was and all that shall ever be. I know this infinite source of all as my life and the life of Ahava and the life of all those here, all those yet to come, the beautiful, amazing truth, the greatest creation of all. And I know this source that continues to create out of itself only what is like itself is right here, right now, in this moment, and in every moment, continuing to create over and over and over again. And so it is from that truth, from that place where I lie open to this knowingness, lying upon the altar of truth, that I speak this word for this community. And I speak this word for all of those individuals and families that have been affected by the tornadoes. Knowing that there is an action taking place right now. For some it is acceptance, for some it is surrender, for some it is joy, for some it is sorrow and heartbreak and no hope at all. But I know that no matter what is happening, that God is right here, right now. That Spirit is moving in, through, and as each and every person, every individual, as this community and beyond. I know that everyone within the sound, within the realm of my voice, what they are hearing right now is supported by this truth. Be still and know that I am here. That no matter what is happening, I am still here. And so I know that that translates through the action of people rising up to take care of those in need right now. I know that this action that takes place is the knowingness, standing in the truth and taking action from that truth, because we're all in it together. There is no separation. No separation in spirit and no separation in each one of us in this community and beyond. I know that right here and right now, regardless of what is happening, the truth stands and will always stand. That love is always the answer. So I know that this prayer is being fulfilled. Because as I empty out, the universe fills. As I empty out and surrender and accept this truth, the universe fills. And I'm so grateful to know this. I'm so grateful for this community and all those who support it. I'm so grateful to speak this word. And it is with a grateful heart that I surrender, that I release, that I let go of this prayer, knowing that the law always says yes. It always says yes. It always says yes. Standing in the power and the grace of yes. Shalom, hamdalela, ashe, namaste. This prayer is done. I leave it knowing it is so, and so it is.